I don't think, if you want to talk about socialism, bring it on. I don't think that that's the future of the Democratic Party if they want to have any cachet. I definitely think the Mamdanis of the world are relative one-offs. I definitely applaud his position, maybe not his verbiage, but in terms of dismissing what AOC said because of the rhetoric that she was throwing in his direction, because he sided with the GOP on this matter. I think it was apropos for him to remind her and the country that she has a district to think about. He has an entire state to think about as a senator from the state of Pennsylvania. And when you're talking about a 43-day shutdown that involved federal workers being furloughed, missing checks, not getting paid, 42 million folks on snaps, that being jeopardized and what have you. When you're talking about all of those kind of things, it's a far more wide-ranging issue. And these Democrats that were holding out, talking about leverage and talking about this was something that could be perceived as the Trump shutdown, it was clearly a strategy that they were employing on their part because they thought it was going to buy them some leverage. They're looking at Virginia, they're looking at New Jersey, they're looking at what happened in New York City. Even though that was relatively predictable in terms of Dems winning those places, they were acting as if that was some sort of referendum against the GOP, and it would be indicative of things to come down the pike if they would continue to hold down the fort and highlight what Trump was doing wrong, per se. And Fetterman was thinking about his people and how they're suffering, and that took priority over party, and I think he made the right decision.
Yeah, it's kind of ballsy, though, to be honest, given the state of play within the party, Bill. So, by the way, for everybody watching right now and listening, they now have enough votes. The CR will carry. And just to remind you what that means, it just takes us to January. Senator Fetterman made that point also, Bill, that they can revisit this again in like a month and change. But what do you make of my suggestion that this isn't just about blaming the senators for caving? This is about changing their party.
Well, I don't think anybody cares about that. I mean, maybe the party.
Well, I do, so answer my question.
Well, I can't because there's just no emotion or analysis attached to it. So the Democratic Party right now is fractured. Okay, so I don't even know what they got. What did they get holding up the government for 43 days? What? Did they get anything, Cuomo?
Well, that's their beef. Is they're saying you should have kept it shut down, and we would have gotten what we wanted, which was to fix healthcare for people.
Coulda. Let's deal with history. What did the Democratic Party get for shutting the government down for 43 days? What?
Nothing, but that's their complaint, Bill. They're saying the senators shouldn't have acquiesced. That's why they're saying they caved.
I don't care about the complaints. So on the record, I don't care about the complaint. Who cares what they say? On the record is we, the Democratic Party, shut down the United States government for 43 days and got bupkis. That's pretty embarrassing, I think, right? Isn't that embarrassing?
Well,
Can I answer?
Please.
Yes, Bill. It's embarrassing if you're looking at it from the macro, if you're somebody that's just paying attention to the final result. The Democrats, however, who voted to hold the line, their position is clearly if we had held out, ultimately this would have been perceived as a Trump shutdown. There would have been some caving on the part of some of the GOP members because they represent states where they were going to be affected by the shutdown as well, and they would have been made to pay a price. Had that happened, then they would be making a different argument. They can't make the argument because some of their own decided to go with the GOP, which you know, Bill, and that's what it is.
Look. Stephen A., I'll put this in sports terms to make you feel at home. If the Kansas City Royals, all right, scored 8 runs every game, they would have won a pennant, all right, in the World Series. But we're dealing with reality, some of us, and the reality is that the Democratic Party held up the government for 43 days, causing pain to individual Americans, and got nothing. I believe that's a resounding defeat.
Bill, I got you. You're being too micro. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.